Okay, time for a 10-minute rant on Babygirl, and this could get me flagged because I'm hesitant to say a certain word. So I'm going to use the word prawn as a substitute for it, and I think you might know what I'm going for here. Definitely this is one of those, I don't know, here's the issue that I have to say about stories like this. This is one of those stories in which sex is a major factor in it. And I don't know, can I even say that on YouTube? I don't know. But there's an obvious sort of, there's an affair going on. I'm going to go out of my way to not say certain words. But basically, in this particular movie, Nicole Kidman plays the CEO of a corporation. And she has an affair with one of her interns. That's the basic premise of this thing. Now, the whole thing about what they do in the background involves words like dominance and submissive, and yeah, this is not a film that you probably aren't going to want to watch with your mom or something like that. But hey, I mean, I'm gonna have to defend this film, not because I really like this film. I'm gonna just say that right off the bat. I'm going to defend that I believe that that we have a right to hear stories like this. I actually think that in these cases, the stuff that people do does matter, and I think that if you're having an affair, it is something that is going to affect you. It's not something that you can kind of do on the side and still live your life. But I think we already know that, don't we? Because otherwise they wouldn't call it cheating, right? Nicole Kidman's character is named Rami, and she works as the CEO of this company that apparently produces, those kind of things you see on Amazon that are like these robotic distributor kind of things, and that they just kind of all have these boxes and it's all moving around, it's all robotic, and humans are like barely required. And I really like how I think this movie really shows these really well, because here's the thing I've kind of noticed about a lot of movies and stuff like that. When they portray a woman CEO, they often have to show this person as a robot. As in, they show them just doing things and tasks, and they often relate to people in a very robotic and emotionless manner. Say, for example, Bryce Dallas Howard's role in Jurassic World, the CEO of InGen or whatever it was, and she looks at the camera and just goes, "Welcome to Jurassic Park," and it's obviously it's done in a very flat way, and you kind of feel like, yeah, this character is essentially just a robot. And I kind of feel like this is kind of what is going on in Nicole Kidman's life in this movie. She was married to Antonio Banderas in this film, who's kind of this theater guy or something like that. I'm not really sure what he does. In fact, I'm not even really sure what Nicole Kidman does. It seems like in a lot of these movies, CEOs are just these guys who sit around all day and kind of symbolize the company, and they know what they're not supposed to do, which is like have affairs and stuff like that and look bad, because apparently that makes the company look bad. But yeah, they show CEOs as just kind of doing nothing. And I'm sure that their work is like, they do specific tasks during the day that probably take up all day and stuff like that, sometimes even more than the day. But you get it. Apparently this character can have a lot of time on her hands because she's kind of doing some guy on the side. And yeah, it's one of her interns. And you might think, boy, that's pretty sick to do that with their intern. And yeah, it is. And I guess this film wants you to think that. This isn't one of those type of films where they try and show an illicit relationship, or they try and show a relationship that shouldn't be, but at the same time you're sort of sympathizing with them. They're not really going for that vibe. They're really trying to show that these characters are kind of despicable. In fact, the intern that she's seeing is, they meet in like hotel rooms, and he's making her do all these kind of things. And I don't even really want to talk about these things, because part of it kind of turned my stomach to watch. Here's the thing. I can see why somebody would want to do this, but I think that there's an unhealthy level of this, and I don't want to judge partners as far as sexual partners as far as what they can and cannot do. I think if there's an element that somebody is being hurt or manipulated in any one of those aspects, I think there could be an issue. And hey, you're more than welcome to give your comments on that. I don't know what TikTok is gonna or YouTube is gonna say and block or whatever, and I'm not even sure if this is gonna get off the ground, honestly, because But Babygirl is one of those films that tries to talk about things like this, and it's not easy issues to deal with. I will say so right there. I will have to say, if this film was gender swapped, like let's say, for example, in fact, I could use an example. Actually, Nicole Kidman was in a film that featured a lot of sexuality, and in some cases, you can't even see an R-rated version of. You have to go NC-17. And of course, I'm talking about the Stanley Kubrick's last film, Eyes Wide Shut, which she was in with Tom Cruise, her then husband at the time. So there was a lot of nudity in that one. There was a lot of stuff that people called it like simply artsy prawn, and I get why they're saying that. I've actually seen that movie. I don't think I've ever really seen it again. I kind of get what that film was trying to do, and I think it's the same things that Babygirl is trying to do, where you have this aspect of there's a couple together, they look happy, they have kids, the kids seem happy, but then one of them just kind of strays, and in this case it's Nicole Kidman's character who kind of strays, and she gets involved in some things that maybe she shouldn't get involved with. Now, in the case of Babygirl, there isn't some weird, fanatical secret society that wears masks or anything in that. So, points to Eyes Wide Shut for giving that. But in Babygirl, the character manages to keep it very compartmentalized. In other words, they kept their relationship in hotel rooms, and and it was kind of like that. But this takes its toll because, well, this is her intern, and she has to work with this guy. And here's the thing. Nicole Kidman's character has a secretary, and the secretary finds out about this and is using the knowledge of this sort of affair as leverage on her. And this was going to happen. This inevitably was going to happen. That somebody was going to find out about the affair, and they were going like, hey, you need to promote me through the company, or you need to give me a raise, or something like that. Otherwise, I'll out you, is what's going on here. And I kind of felt like, yeah, that really should have happened, and this is the reason why you don't do this. This is the reason why you don't cheat, because eventually you will get caught, is kind of the thing. Here's what I'm going to tell you about what's going on for most of this part of this film. And I'm going to get into some spoilers here, which I normally don't do at the 9-minute mark. But essentially, Nicole Kidman does break down, and she breaks down a few times. And when I say break down, I mean not only tell the truth, but break down mentally. There's a time where she tells her husband that he's never given her something that starts with an O, and that was an interesting discussion. Here's the thing: I don't know whether she's even telling the truth on that. Honestly, I couldn't really tell. I mean, it's like, come on, he's like Antonio Banderas. But yeah, I don't want to seem insensitive on this particular issue. So I kind of felt like, and she tells her husband, like, yeah, there is someone else that she's been kind of doing on the side, and but she does not mention that it's her intern, which I think the husband actually knows by that point, because the intern has been over at the house several times, because he's an intern, he works for her. Yeah. So there's kind of an issue with that, and there's this one scene at the end which I am going to spoil for you because I thought it was oddly done, where Antonio Banderas actually confronts the intern guy, and they kind of have it out a little bit, and then the fight just kind of stops, and then they cut to a scene where Nicole Kidman is bringing in ice packs for them both, and I kind of went like, oh, that just... Normally I go like... normally I say things like, that escalated quickly, and I went like, that de-escalated quickly. In fact, we never even saw the de-escalation of that. Why? And that's kind of, I kind of was upset with that. I kind of thought, okay, that's cheating. You can't really do cuts like that. And here's the issue here. If you've watched the film Eyes Wide Shut, it essentially has the same ending as Babygirl, whereas the couple reluctantly gets back together. In this case, Antonio Banderas and Nicole Kidman are back together, but you can tell that when Nicole Kidman's character is being intimate with Antonio Banderas, she's thinking about some other guy, that is that intern. Now, here's the thing. Maybe that's the point of this film, showing like, can you be faithful and not be faithful at the same time? If that is, points to this film. I actually think that's a really good message to have here. So, would I recommend this film? I don't know.